So, how about that game last night? Whew, holy Moses. Yeah, I decided to make my recap in the morning just because I still wanted some time to process what the hell happened last night. And what happened last night was a case of, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh, yes! I mean, it went from 3 quarters of just garbage, basically the best way I can describe it, at least on offense, to just a J.J. McCarthy takeover. So yeah, let's actually go ahead and kind of get into this here, because yeah, as I mentioned before, the first, I'd say 2.5 to 3 quarters was just absolute, oh man. I mean, there was no rhythm in the offense at all. It looked like they hadn't played football in who knows how long, which, to be honest with you, probably is the case. For me, I don't know. Preseason training camp, that's always going to be one of those big debates on whether or not, you should play your starters more than like 3 minutes. But, every philosophy is different, every offense is different, every scheme is different, blah, 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 blah. So, but yeah, I mean, again, JJ, those first few throws and he just looked like, not really scared, but he definitely did not get a lot of help from the offensive line there at the beginning. As well as, again, he definitely looked like a quarterback, playing in his first game, taking his lumps and stuff like that. But I will say, with the exception of that first half defense, or like the first part of the first half defense, the defense kept us in this game, as I had a feeling they would. Because I'm not going to lie, when we got to halftime of that game, if you would have asked me, would we only be down 17-6, I would have looked at you like you were crazy. I mean, we were this close almost every time to getting to Caleb Williams, but we couldn't quite get there. And it got annoying after a while, because it was like we were this close, and then he'd break off like a 5-yard run, throw it down the field, blah, 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 blah. I mean, if you watched that game, you saw that's exactly Caleb Williams. That's why they drafted him. He's one of those guys who plays well off script. And he looked like the number 1 overall pick there for most of the game. Will Reichert kicked a record-tying field goal there at the end of the half, thanks to Jalen Naylor. And yeah, that was really about it as far as major highlights of the first half, Vikings-wise. But once we got into the fourth quarter, on the other hand, like a light switch flipped. And JJ came out and started getting into a rhythm, started moving down the field, and then bang, touchdown to Justin Jefferson. Bang, the defensive line finally started getting to Caleb. And that was, I'm not even going to lie, after seeing that first, 45 minutes of the game, that, of course had to crescendo with a pick six to, of all people, Nashawn Wright, who was a former Viking, which, by the way, hope he's all right. I know he had to leave the game due to some form of a leg injury. I think hamstring is what I heard. But anyway, regardless, moving forward here, that was just beautiful fourth quarter football. Because once JJ caught that touchdown from JJ, yeah, it's still going to take me a while to say Jets, and regardless, that connection is looking solid, because I'm not going to lie, Justin Jefferson did not look good in that first half. Oh, smokes. Looked like he was missing routes. It looked like he wasn't quite hitting what he needed to, where he needed to. But then, as the game progressed, everyone got together at halftime. Yeah. We were able to push forward. So then, after that touchdown to Jefferson, again, a couple more stops and stuff like that, JJ gets the ball back, throws it to Aaron Jones for a touchdown, who up to that point really didn't have much of a factor in the run game. which I had a feeling probably would happen because that's why we got Jordan Mason. He was more going to be that guy to, just plow ahead and push forward. But, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Jordan Mason is definitely looking like the free agent pickup, or no, trade actually, that we wanted. So, I like what I saw there at the end. But of course, the final dagger, J.J. McCarthy running it into the end zone on his own, showing off that mobility that has a lot of us Vikings fans happy. And then, after that, going down to about 3 minutes to go, down to 2.5 minutes, and then eventually 2:02 left, the Bears run down the field, score again, to make it 27-24. But Ty Chandler catches a kickoff in the middle of the end zone and looks immediately over to Kevin O'Connell and Miles Price, who are signaling to bring it out. So he runs it out, and then basically big brain move right there, because that took us to the 2-minute warning, with Chicago only having one timeout. So, yeah. At the end of the day, if you would have asked me going into that fourth quarter if I felt like we had a shot, well, I mean, to be fair, though, if you were looking at Twitter anywhere from about midway through the first quarter to about midway through the third quarter, you would have thought the world was ending. Typical Vikings stuff, and then, of course, people being like, J.J. McCarthy's a bust, I fucking told you, And meanwhile, I'm sitting here going like, alrighty, well, this is less than ideal. So, and then, I mean, yeah, again, credit to the boys in purple and white there. I mean, they found a way to get it done at the end of the day. I mean, it was ugly. It was gross. We should have probably been blown out 35-7 going into, the third quarter, but thankfully the defense held up enough for us to push, and get the thing done. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what, that was definitely one hell of a game, and I mean, just even overall, the weekend was a solid weekend of football, from Thursday to Friday to Sunday. Granted, as I said before, it is week 1. So take everything you've seen here with a grain of salt while teams start figuring themselves out here. Because, again, not taking anything away from Chicago, that was one of their biggest issues last year. It wasn't that they couldn't get down the field and score, they couldn't finish. And until they learn how to finish games, you're going to have results like this. Then also, I think Chicago Bears fans are sick of seeing the Vikings come to town because we've won the last 6 at Soldier Field, which is kind of ironic because I remember a time here during like the Childress, Frazier, and even, the beginning of the Zimmer regime where we couldn't win diddly squat at Soldier Field. It was always like weird endings and stuff like that. Not too dissimilar to this, but anyway, to wrap this whole thing up, that was one gutsy victory, boys. One gutsy victory. Now obviously I'm not ready to crown J.J. McCarthy the Lord and Savior just yet here because, well, I need to see him build off of what he did. I need to see progression. I need to see that moxie continue on and on while we groom, this playbooks, the schemes, and the styles and stuff, because we cannot, I repeat, cannot have a lot of games where we start off those first 3 quarters looking like, boots stuck in quicksand. Like, it was not fun. Because not every team is, some of these teams we have coming up could drop 28 on us if we let that happen, so. But hey, lots of stuff to work on. But I'll tell you what, those gross, sloppy games definitely feel a lot better after you win. So, yeah, I think I'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Stay tuned, because, well, week 2, Sunday night football against Michael Penix Jr. and the Atlanta Falcons coming to town. So, until we meet again, this is Jacob. Have a good one.